morning, Panthers. We have had a few unforeseen days off, but we are back and better than ever.
Since we weren't here on Monday, let's start by congratulating the cast and crew of Monster Park on 2 awesome shows. Mr. Bergman sent us word that he is very proud of the cast and crew of the show. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's science fact of the day celebrates an American original. Just about a week ago, astronaut John Glenn passed away at age 95. Here is Sam to tell us more.
Hi, Panthers. John Glenn is a man who made history not once, but twice. In 1962, he became the first person to orbit the Earth, and then again in 1998, while he was a senator. He became the oldest person to go into space. He was 77 years old. 77 years old, John Glenn was an aviator, an engineer, an astronaut, and a senator. Glenn was one of the Mercury 7 group of military test pilots selected in 1959 by NASA to become America's first astronauts. On February 20th, 1962, he flew the Friendship 7 mission and became the first American to orbit the Earth and the first person in space. Glenn received the Congressional Space Medal of Honor in 1978, and it was introduced to the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame in 1990, and was the last surviving member of the Mercury 7. He also received the NASA Distinguished Service Medal. Check out this BBC News report to learn more about John Glenn.
On February the 20th, 1962, John Glenn began a journey that would make him one of America's greatest heroes. Back then, there was only room for one in the spacecraft. And mission control was in a cramped room. It was all so new, and astronauts were doing things for the very first time.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
Friendship 7 set off, taking the US Marine pilot around the Earth. He was not the first man in space, or even the first American.
Roger, backup clock is started.
But John Glenn's orbit was the moment that the Americans finally caught up with the Soviets in the space race.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around. Oh, that view is tremendous.
His performance in fulfillment of this most dangerous assignment reflects the highest credit upon himself and the United States. Colonel, we appreciate what you've done.
And for that, President Kennedy and the nation were duly grateful. John Glenn was the embodiment of America's newfound supremacy, and it was only now it had found expression. In 1974, John Glenn was elected to the Senate, and 10 years later he tried to become the Democratic candidate for president, but failed.
And liftoff of Discovery with a crew of 6 astronaut heroes and 1 American legend.
In 1998, he was still blazing a trail. Age 77, he became the oldest person to go into space.
I guess I'm still a little round-faced here today, and that comes from the fluid body shift that occurs, and that's something, as I understand, that goes away over a couple of days there, and you get back to normal again.
Just a handful of minutes remain.
He'll be remembered, though, for his courage and bravery in the early years of America's space program. A man, they said, that had the right stuff.
Alrighty, now here's your favorite part of the day, Parkland News. The Winter Bazaar is today. You may only stay if you have purchased a ticket from Miss EP. There will be no other activities other than the boys' basketball game.
Yearbook will meet on Thursday. See Miss Coppola if you have any questions.
Parkland's kids tech filmmakers will meet Thursday. See Miss Seal if you have any questions.
Next Friday is the annual staff versus students basketball game. If you would like to play, you need to be referral free. See Mr. Blackwood if you have any questions.
Now, here's Sam with an awesome story about, well, you'll see.
Panthers, you've heard of a balloon animal before, right? You know, a magician or a clown at a party blows up some balloons and bends and twists them into different animals or items. People who create balloon animals and other twisted sculptures are called twisters, balloon benders, and balloon artists. Now, usually when you get a balloon animal, it fits in your hand and you can take it home. But what if you asked for a life-size replica of a T-Rex? One balloon artist built one. Check it out.
This dinosaur is 12 feet tall and about 43 feet long. It's bigger than most balloon sculptures anyone's ever seen before. My name is Mark Verge, and I'm a balloon artist. I entertain children, adults sometimes, and I make balloon animals for little kids. A little seahorse, teddy bear in a tree, a fish on a rod. I also sculpt. I like making big sculptures. In the past, I've been very fortunate to win 6 world competitions. My style is more like, I like making big sculptures. Some people are like intricate stuff. Not me. I like to make bigger stuff. Bigger is better. I made like costumes, dump truck, pirate ship, motorcycles. But the coolest thing I ever made is my life-size T-Rex. This dinosaur is about 12 feet tall and about 43 feet long. It's about 600, maybe 700 balloons total. This is one of the largest balloon dinosaurs ever made. Balloons obviously lose air, so you can't just leisurely make it over a week or even 2 weeks. You have to make it kind of like all in one jaunt, to spend like about 40 hours in 3 days and just basically work, sleep, and that's all you really do. When I start the dinosaur, I start with the vertebrae, and I start it here, and I go all the way through. This is a smaller balloon, and this is a little bit larger. So if you look at this, this is basically a whole bunch of these put together. And then the ribs, this is probably one of the more challenging parts of it, because it's so large and you have to use multiple balloons to actually put it together. It would be impossible for this thing to stand on its own, so I use these lamp stands to hold it up. You can keep adding on to it. I can make it go high, go low, and you can pose it in any position you wish. A lot of times I will either go from an image or models of dinosaurs, so I like to make them as accurate as possible, almost exactly the same as you would see in a museum. We have the hip bone here, followed by the legs. This is a style called weaving, where you twist it. It's much like making a basket. So basically, this is all straight, and then you make it a little larger and bring it in to make it look like a bone. So these claws, although it's a big T-Rex, it's actually the same size hands as a human would have. The hardest part is making the head. And actually, a lot of people look here and they're wondering, why are these open? Actually, dinosaurs tend to have that because they gotta make their head lighter because they're so heavy, but it also lets it release heat from there so they don't cook their little brains in. My life-size T-Rex is the coolest thing I've ever made.
Wish these students a happy birthday.
Today's my B-day, today's my B-day. I'ma need some B-cake, yummy, yummy B-cake. Oh.
Cannibal.
Okay, Panthers, we are done for the day, and there are only 8 days left until the end of the 2016 school year.
Why wait?
We're going to leave you with these words from country singer Willie Nelson. Once you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you'll start having positive results.
Have a great day, and we'll see you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.